Welcome back to paper 2 and us just clearing all the misconceptions and all those little marks. I always say that each mark counts. So let's carry on. A quick shout out to Liberty, our sponsor. Thank you so much yet again for helping us throughout all these years to deliver all this content. Don't forget to download your Tenfold Education app, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Mindset Learn. So whenever we do have paper 2, the biggest issues are maps and plans and measurement. When you go into a measurement exam, do not forget that you need to know all your shapes. When you go into paper 2, don't forget you need to know how to convert when it comes to distance, time, and speed. I know a lot of learners are like, oh, I know the triangle, and because I know the triangle, that DST triangle, and they feel like I am ready. You could not be further from the truth. You need to go in and do as much practice as possible. Go in with a ruler that is clear so that you know how to go through your diagrams. When it comes to that, go in with your pencil and so on and so forth. So let's look at the question that I have in front of me that is going to help us go through every single thing we need to know. So Mr. Jonathan and his wife decided to arrange a birthday party for their only daughter. They purchased a 2-layered round chocolate cake. So already I know I'm going to be working with a circle here. The one thing that I find to be a very big issue when it comes to circular geometry is learners not understanding the difference between, or the relationship between diameter and let's look at it, and radius. So diameter is from one point of the circle to the other point of the circle, and it divides the circle into 2 equal pieces. Okay, so that's diameter, from one point to the other point. Very, very, very important. And then radius is from that point to the edge. You see it? And with radius, it doesn't matter where the radius is. As long as it's from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle, it is radius. This is radius. That is radius. That's radius, that's radius, that's radius. And they are all equal to each other. So that's very important. Also know the difference between circumference and area. That's also quite important. Let's go back. So it means the diameter would be from that point to that point. Okay. And then it says the diameter of the bottom layer is 250 millimeters. So I'm just going to rewrite it there. 250 millimeters. And then another thing that we are told is that the diameter of the top layer is 18 centimeters. So what we are sitting with here is 18 centimeters. So already here, I'm picking up one thing that you need to always pick up. It's the unit of measurement. Do you see that? One diameter is given in millimeters and the next diameter is given in centimeters, meaning I'm going to have to do some sort of conversion somewhere along the way. So you need to remember that I cannot use millimeters and centimeters in the same formula. I have to use the same unit of measurement, meaning I'm going to need to do conversion. Do you see why it's important for you to know how to convert? I find that learners in matric still struggle with conversions between millimeters and centimeters. Please don't make that mistake. Again, this is the box, centimeters, millimeters. Okay? Again. And then I am given the same information that I read from there. I'm given the formula. And I always say, if you cannot use the formula, then there's no use for that formula being given to you. And then we have a nice note there, meaning we're going to be using it. And then it says here, determine A, the area indicated at the top layer of the chocolate cake in square millimeters. I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing this. 2 ways of doing this, because sometimes you'll find that there's a bit of an issue. So the first way that you can tackle a question like this is that you need to make sure that whatever you are using is already in millimeters. So let's go up so I can show you. Can you see that the top layer of the cake is given in centimeters? So if I were you, I would first convert that centimeter to millimeter before I put it into my calculator. Please don't forget that, because sometimes you find that you use it as it is. When you get to your answer, you do not know what to do with it. So let's convert that 18 millimeters first. So 18 centimeters to millimeters. I know that if I'm converting to centimeters, from centimeters to millimeters, I need to multiply by 10. So I must multiply this by 10. Makes sense, né? So this is going to be 180 millimeters. Again, it makes sense. If this is 250 millimeters, it makes sense that this is 180 millimeters. You see there, same unit of measurement, exactly what I was trying to warn you about initially. So now I have this question in front of me, and now I can calculate the area that's indicated as A. So the area that's indicated as A is this area up here. So let's just remove some of this so we can see exactly what we are talking about. That's the area of A. Also, you need to know the difference between area and surface area. Otherwise, okay. So area of a circle is equals to pi times radius square. Okay? It's important for me to know whether I am given the value of the radius or not. So am I given the value of the radius there? No, I am not. If I am not given the value of the radius, I don't guess the value of the radius. I use the radius on my calculator exactly as it is. So let's go see. Pi times, there we go again. So it's 180 millimeters. So if this is 180 millimeters, then the distance, let's just see. Then I know that half of that is 180 divided by 2. Okay, because it's half. The radius is half of the diameter. So diameter is equals to radius times 2, and radius is equals to diameter divided by 2. So always look at that in terms of how it is given. So let's go back. Now I know that it's going to be 180 divided by 2 squared. This squared at the top, again, we always have issues with the squared at the top. Some learners want to, so the answer is here is going to be 90. Some learners want to say 90 times 2. That is incorrect. That square means that it's 90 times 90. Very big problem that we face. Very big problem. Okay, let's go put it in our calculator. You actually get a mark for that. So you remember when I said you have to use your pi as it is if it's not given to you. And also if your pi is given, you have to use the exact value of pi. So you don't say 3,142 and they say to you the value of pi is 3,14. So let's go and see. Now I'm here trying to look for pi on my calculator. There, I found pi. Pi times 90 square. Put your square in your calculator. Don't try and go and guess. So my answer is 8,100 pi. Change 25,446. So 25,446 Remember, it's big because it's in millimeters. Comma 90. 90 millimeter square, because it's area, ne? So I'm going to go back to my question and see if I've really answered what I'm being asked. Give your answer to the nearest whole milliliters, meaning I'm supposed to take this value out. This 9 will affect the 6 and it will become a 7. Again, you need to know how to round off. 47. 47 millimeters square. This is so important. So now let's say that you had the very same question, but you had put in 18 centimeters. Okay? And then you were asked to give your answer as it is there. So I'm going to do this very same thing. Now you found yourself, you are in a problem, you're in that exam, and now you went and used 18 centimeters, but your answer needs to be in millimeters. You are not sure what to do. So I am then going to say, because area is equals to pi times r squared, I use my pi as it is, and then I go and I use my 18 centimeters as it is. Did you see there? I'm doing exactly the same thing I did, but this time I'm doing it in centimeters, because I want you to understand exactly what happens in exams. So pi times 18,2. Oh, sorry. You see what I did there? 18 divided by 2, because we're finding the radius, square. And that's going to give you 254 comma 46900 4690049. Ne? So this would be in centimeters square. But then I remember I need to convert it to millimeter square. So how I do that, which is, I mean, it's something that you can be very confused about if you're in an exam. Remember, if I had my kilometers and I had my meters and I have my centimeters and I have my millimeters, if I am now using squares, I would put a square there, a square there, a square there, meaning this becomes 1,000 square, 100 square, 10 square. Do you see what I did there? So I take that very number and I multiply it by 10 square. So look at that, times 10 square. Look at that. The answer is exactly the same. Please be careful when it comes to such questions. Be careful when it comes to such questions. Let's carry on. I love this question. So now we've got our cake there. Now we've cleared everything that could have been a mistake. A ribbon will be wrapped around the circumference of the bottom layer of the cake. Circumference is the perimeter of the circle and must overlap by 50 meters. Overlap means that there must be an extra 50 millimeters to it. Okay. Calculate the length of the ribbon in millimeters. So we want it for the bottom layer of the cake. The nice thing about the bottom layer of the cake is that it's already given. The diameter is already given as 250 millimeters. Is the formula for the circumference given? It is not, but luckily I know the formula for circumference. Oh, there it is given. So circumference is equals to 2 times pi times radius. Look at that. All of a sudden pi is given. All of a sudden pi is given. Pi was not given initially, so I used the pi on my calculator. Now pi is given, I have to use the pi exactly as it is. Did you see that? So remember that, please, So now I need to use pi exactly as it is. So that then becomes 3,142. Remember, you cannot say 3,14 because you feel like it. You cannot then use the pi on your calculator because pi is given. If you use the wrong pi, you are going to get it wrong. 3,14 is wrong. Don't do that. Use it exactly as it's given. The radius in this particular case is going to be the 250 divided by 2. Do you see? So 250 divided by 2 is the radius because I took diameter, I divided by 2. And then out of this entire question, at the end, I need to add my overlap. So let me not confuse you and do it as it is first. Whenever you are asked for an overlap, you just add the overlap at the end. 2 times 3,142 times 250 divided by 2. Remember, your answer is going to be in millimeters, ne? So that's 7. Oh, I'm actually wondering. That's 785.5. 785,5 millimeters. Okay, and then I need to add the overlap, which is 50. So I take my answer. I actually don't trust this, so I'm going to actually recalculate. It's 785,5 plus 50. So that's 835,5. So that is 835,5 millimeters of ribbon. Okay, know the difference between area, know the difference between circumference, and know the difference, know the difference between the three. So what am I doing here? It is important. So if I've got my circle, the circumference is the green part. The circumference is the border. The border is circumference. Okay. And then the inside of it is going to be the area. So we just calculated those two things. So just know the difference between those two things. The next question. The volume of the rectangular box is given. So that's the volume that's given. Determine the height of the box in centimeters. So when we have a question like this, a lot of learners get confused. And the reason why they are confused is because they are used to calculating the volume of the box. We are solving for x, and I know in mathematical literacy, whenever a learner is asked to solve for x, it's a big problem. So we need to know how to manipulate our formulas. I'll show you how to manipulate your formula. So we know that the volume of the box is length times breadth times height, and it's also given as that, you know. I take this and I put it into my formula exactly as it is. Okay, so that's going to be 42,000. You see, and I go see what the length is. The length is 400 millimeters, but I cannot use it as millimeters. I have to convert that to centimeters, which is 40 centimeters. I've already shown you how to do that. So the length of the box is 40 centimeters. The length is the longer side and the breadth is the shorter side, times 30. I don't have my h. I am solving for h. This is where the problem comes in. Huge problem. Huge problem. So because this is multiplication and this is multiplication, it means when I bring these to the other side, I need to divide them. Okay, so I'm going to take these and I'm going to divide them on this side. So therefore, it's going to be 42,000 divided by 40 times 30. And that's how I'm going to find my height. Okay, so I'm not going to calculate that unless if I need it later on or not. But for now, let me just leave it like that. So, Mr. Jonathan's cousin is in England claims that the diameter of the bottom layer of the cake is more than 10 inches. Verify using your calculations. This brings you back to the fact that you need to know how to move from known to unknown. So this person is claiming a certain thing. Okay. So in his particular claim, he is saying the diameter of the bottom layer of the cake is more than 10 inches. You're going to have two steps of things that you are doing over there. You are first going to convert, because remember the diameter is already given. Our diameter is given as 250 millimeters. So I'm first going to convert that to that. That's what I'm going to do. So I know that 1 inch is 25,4. 1 inch is 25,4 millimeters. That's what I know. So I want to convert 250 millimeters. Cross multiplication and I divide. Therefore, it's going to be 250 divided by 25,4. And I'll tell you where we lose marks the most. 25,4. So this guy said it's more than. It's not. It's 9,84 inches. This would have been 2 marks. Now, the last mark comes from us verifying the claim. Therefore, his claim is invalid. So this is where we get the last mark, by us verifying. So don't forget, the third mark comes from that. Very important for us to remember that. Otherwise, we land up in trouble. Okay, so according to the baker, at the bakery, the height of the bottom layer of the cake is 64% of the radius. Calculate the height of the bottom layer in millimeters. That is not normally an issue. Okay. The recipe of the chocolate cake needs flour to sugar in the ratio. Ratios are an issue. Why are ratios an issue? Because people sometimes feel like this 7:3 must be 3:7. No. Why is it like that? If I'm given the ratio 7:3, it is exactly as it is given there. Even if I was asked to go write my own ratio, exactly, meaning this is flour and meaning this is sugar. Do you see what I mean? Exactly as it is given. If I don't do it exactly as it is given, it's going to give me problems. Determine the number of cups of flour needed if 6 cups of sugar are needed. So I know now that this is 6 cups. But I need how many cups there are there. Okay. Quick, easy. I know that 7:3, and I know this is 6 cups. So cross multiplication, divide 7 times 6. 7 times 6 divided, oops, what am I doing? 7 times 3. 7 times 3 divided by 6, and that's 3.5 cups. Okay, so this is actually not going to be correct. And the reason why this is not correct is because if the ratio is 7:3, and I have, if my ratio is 7:3, and this is 6 cups, it means that this is actually, this needs to be more. So that's how I know that this is actually not going to be correct. So in order for me to make this a correct ratio, I need to add these two. So I need to add my 7 and my 3. So if I add my 7 and my 3, it's going to give me 10. And then my 10 is going to be my denominator. And then when my 10 is my denominator, then I know that I'm going to work towards it being in that particular ratio. Okay, does it make sense like that? So that's how I know how I'm going to calculate that particular question. So please be careful, because then that becomes 7 over 10, and then that other one becomes 3 over 6. So then I can do my known is to unknown. So let's see how we're going to do this. So I know that in terms of my ratios, I actually have, sorry, this is 10. Sorry, this is 10. So I know that I have 7 over 10, and I know that I have 3 over 10. And that's how I'm going to use my ratio when it comes to that question. This one, super easy. Never found any misconceptions when it comes to this. Just know how to use your temperatures. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll work through that.